County?
Well, we're very, very disappointed to see the guidance from the state that is revoking the authority of local health departments to tell school districts what to do, to order them to take measures when it comes to school closures. Right now, we're still on the front lines of fighting this invisible killer, this insidious disease. Over 150,000 deaths in our country already, hospitalization rates, death rates, case counts, positivity rates are all still sky high in Harris County. What this does, today's guidance, today's decision, is not only put at risk the lives of children and the health of children, but the lives and health of their parents, of their teachers. The entire community is going to be at risk because of this. And what's sad to me is this politicization is the reason we got here in the first place. Because of politics, the state opened too early. And because of that, we haven't brought down our numbers to a place where it would be responsible to open up schools, at least to some degree. So we've gotten a lot of calls from parents, from teachers, from superintendents saying, please focus on the numbers, focus on the science, focus on what we know, not the politics. And I'm just so deeply afraid that this is a step back. Ultimately, we need schools to stay close to in-person instruction for now. Schools need to remain closed because it is simply not safe. It is not any safer than it was back in March when all of the school districts shut down for the first time. In fact, the numbers are much, much worse, and we can't afford as a community to do that. There's a principle that we all hear about, do no harm, particularly in this health context. And so we shouldn't wait for an outbreak to happen for us to go address it. Outbreaks should not be happening in schools in the first place, and our hospital systems, our broader community does not have space to take that on right now. We need to be responsible. Those schools need to remain close to in-person instruction, and the reality of it is the more people stay home, follow the recommendations, we're still at red alert, we're still at the highest threat level for COVID. People need to be following those recommendations, and that's the only way the numbers are going to come down to a level where it would be safe to have this in a sustainable base. It's not about ping-ponging between open or shut in the community, nor in the schools. It's not responsible, and it's not right, and it's not safe.
And so your office has personally taken calls?
We've taken calls, I've personally taken calls, but all throughout this, when I've spoken to parents, to teachers, to superintendents, that is the request, is we know that this is becoming political, and now the health of our children, and again, the health of our society is caught in the crosshair of this politics. And so that's why I want to be very clear with the community. We cannot be opening schools to in-person instruction, not because we don't want to, but because things open, the state opened too early, and things are still open, and that curve is not come down to where it needs to be. And it's a threat, not just to the children who would be infected, but to everybody else. We can't have that. It's not right. People are talking about some false equivalency, false cost-benefit ratio. Well, what if there is no other option right now? We shouldn't be having gatherings, much less gatherings of children and teachers, really treasures of our community.
And has your office reached out to the governor's office?
We're looking at our options legally right now, all throughout, and I did speak before this with some of the leaders in the Senate and the House that are focused on education to explain, this is what we're seeing, these are the numbers, and unfortunately, we don't have room for politics here. We'll be looking more at the guidance to see if there's any room, but frankly, I think the governor made pretty clear, they made very clear they are revoking that authority of the local health departments to order schools shut, and that's just not something you want to play politics with. It's wrong. It's just wrong.
Okay. Anything else you want to touch on with what he said?
No, just reminding folks to continue to do their part. I mean, this is in all of our hands. to the extent that we stay home, save for essential activities, to the extent that we avoid contacts with other people that are not in our family, to the extent that we wear face coverings, the sooner those curves are going to come down. We all badly want our kids back in school, but other communities have been able to achieve that because they did the work, because they didn't just celebrate for the sake of a political win and say it's time to open. And so we need to do that too. We need to do the work. We need to bring those curves down. So calling on the community to remember that this is on all of us. And we're going to continue doing our part. In Harris County, we're committed to making sure every child has access to internet, has access to a computer, whatever we need to do, leverage state funds, local funds if we need to. And so we'll continue working on that. It's not ideal, but we're here because the say open too soon. That's why we're here. And so we need to do our part, and we need to move past this. And I am imploring all of our schools, public, private, to please not open for in-person instruction right now. It would be irresponsible, it would be a mistake, and it just flies in the face of all of the evidence.
Has your office taken any calls from people over the districts?
I have spoken to some of the superintendents and explaining to them, what this means, explaining that, that he's rescinding this, and, we're going to do everything we can to advise the school districts. We're continuing to work on public health advice that folks can look at to understand, okay, when would it be safe? But what I can say is, not anytime soon, when we're still bordering at a surge capacity or Texas Medical Center, our regional hospitals just below surge capacity, around 1,000 cases every day. I think today the city had over 1,000, we had 500, 1,500 cases a day. You can't, how many more cases are we going to get from these students in school together with the teachers, with the bus drivers, the administrators? It's untenable.
What's the general consensus amongst the superintendents that you did speak with?
Generally, I have to say, everybody was understood. They said, look, we understand that we have to put public health first. We have to protect our children. We have to protect our educators. And then something that came up very consistently, and I heard it from many of them, was, I am an educator, I am not a doctor. That's what they kept telling me. And so they are asking for this public health guidance, and we're ready to provide it. The two major health authorities locally, the City of Houston's Health Authority, Harris County's Health Authority, are in agreement the schools should not be open right now. They laid down a marker September 8th, but the way things are looking, that's probably going to be too soon. And so we're giving that guidance, and we need it to have the full force of law, because we've played this game before, when we're stripped of the authority to do what's right, and ultimately the community ends up suffering. And so I think what everybody's feeling, what I keep hearing before today and in the conversations I've had today, is that these superintendents, these teachers, these students and families, and us too, we're being caught in the crosshairs of a political game that has no place in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes, I was just about to
Y en español. Estamos muy decepcionados por la información, la guía que ha dado el Estado, removiendo la autoridad de los departamentos de salud pública en regular las escuelas en cuanto a si pueden atender las clases en persona a los niños. En este momento seguimos en crisis en el condado Harris. Estamos al frente de esta crisis. Hay más de 150,000 muertes en nuestro país. Aquí en el condado, tanto las hospitalizaciones como los casos, la tasa de positividad, las muertes, altísimas. No ha bajado esa curva a un nivel suficiente. Lo que está haciendo este paso del Estado es finalmente poner en peligro las vidas y la salud de los niños, no solo de los estudiantes, sino también las vidas y la salud de los maestros, de los administradores y de la comunidad entera. Se ve afectada por esta decisión. Finalmente estamos donde estamos por estos juegos políticos. Por esos juegos políticos fue que el Estado abrió todas las restaurantes, bares, todo esto antes de tiempo. Por eso es que nuestra curva no ha caído y por eso es que no podemos reabrir responsablemente a las escuelas. Entonces, no debemos estar jugando política ahora. Lo que estamos pidiendo igual es que, por favor, los distritos escolares se mantengan cerrados a instrucción en persona. No estamos en una situación adecuada para poder reabrir. De hecho, la situación está muchísimo peor de como estaba en marzo, cuando todos los superintendentes, todos los distritos cerraron sus puertas a instrucción en persona. Entonces, eso sigue estando en nuestras manos. Trabajando juntos, quedándonos en casa, ahí sí va a caer la curva. Pero por ahora le seguimos pidiendo, aunque no tengamos ya la autoridad, a esos superintendentes que por favor no abran a la instrucción en persona de estos niños, porque verdaderamente es algo peligroso, es irresponsable y es triste. Ya hemos hecho esto ya un par de veces, cuando por política el Estado remueve autoridad que necesitamos aquí en las localidades para poder manejar esta pandemia. No podemos hacerlo otra vez, mucho menos con los niños.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.